Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a true celebration of the life of all of our good friend, Stephanie Mercandetti. Just seeing, after months of planning, seeing this all right in front of me, it's a little overwhelming, but I'm so happy to see you all here. My name is Bob Berman. I'm humbled and honored to serve as the chair of the new Stephanie Mercandetti Memorial Committee that was formed. And let me start by saying there are a few things that Stephanie would have really loved about this day. The weather is beautiful. It's in a beautiful park that she loved to be in. Friends, family, all here just for her, and it really is the perfect scenario. So thank you all for being here and being part of this special event. A special thank you to the students from the Framingham High School a cappella choir. Can we have a hand for them? Under the direction of Thaddeus Bell. We truly appreciate your talents and your performance, so thank you. Thank you also to the amazing staff of the City of Framingham Park and Rec Department. We would absolutely not be here today at this amazing event without all of your hard work and true dedication. Thank you so much. The place looks amazing. Everything is set up perfectly. Thank you. A real quick shout out to Keefe Technical Vocational High School, the Verve Crown Plaza Hotel, and Weston Nurseries for your incredible generosity, so thank you. And today really began many months ago following a Framingham Democratic Town Committee meeting when a dozen or so of Stephanie's good friends hung out after the meeting brainstorming ideas on how we can best represent the life of and celebrate the life of Stephanie. That discussion has morphed into a nonprofit organization. We have several members who all are working hard at both today and something else in the future that we'll be telling you about. And I want to thank all the committee members who have dealt with hours of meetings, hundreds to thousands of emails and text messages from myself, from David Magnani, from many. So thank you very much. I'm just going to quickly read off. Members of the committee, if you could just raise your hand or stand when I say your name. Carmen Chico, Jack Duffy, Sarah Guernsey, Audrey Hall, Mary Jo Lafreniere, David Magnani, Kathy McCarthy, Sarah Machichi, Betty Muto, Joan Rastani, Norma Schulman, John Stefanini, Ed Stoll, Cheryl Tully-Stoll, and Parwez Wahid. Thank you all so much for all of the hard work that you've done. It is very much appreciated. So that first night that we met, we must have had about 20 different ideas of what to do and what direction to take. And each of those ideas would have been a fitting tribute to the life of Stephanie. Through the early leadership of Senator Magnani, we were able to narrow that list down to the two things that you'll see today. The first is this event here that was a lot of work in the process, but it really, we're so happy to be here. The second is an ongoing scholarship fund for Framingham, Medway, and Walpole students who are looking to pursue a degree in public policy, planning, or government studies. This will ensure that Stephanie's legacy lives on. I would also like to, if I can get my papers in order, I'm also going to just quickly say thank you to the elected officials that are here today. We have former Governor Michael Dukakis and Mrs. Dukakis. We have Senate President Karen Spilka and Joel. Representative Jack Lewis. Former Senator David Magnani. Former State Rep John Stefanini. Mayor Yvonne Spicer, City Council Chair Dennis Giambetti, Councilors Cheryl Tully-Stoll and George King, School Committee Chair Adam Freudberg, School Committee Member Bev Hugo, I know we have not on the list here, but we have some members of the planning board. I see Christine Long. I see Lou Colton. Apologize if I miss anybody else from that. ZBA Chair Phil Ottaviani. Planning Board Admin Amanda Lewis. And if there's anybody else, I apologize. I also see Mr. Grossman. Thank you. If there's anybody else, I apologize. But we have several speakers today, each of whom have a special and personal bond with Stephanie. And I think we have put together a program that will clearly show the love that we all have for Stephanie. And I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. We're going to get started. I would like to bring up our first speaker, good friend and Senate President Karen Spilka.
I'd like to say hello to all of my friends and family and extended family here today, because today I believe we are all family. We're all here to be part of Stephanie's family. And thank you all for being here. I look out and I see so many friends of Stephanie's and people that worked and were friends with her and were a part of her life. And it's great to see you all here. Although I know none of us would miss this for the world, this wonderful opportunity to honor the memory of our good friend and dear colleague, Stephanie Mercandetti. Like you, I have a hard time believing that she is no longer with us. I miss her smile. I miss her laugh. I miss her enthusiasm. Who was more enthusiastic than Stephanie? And I miss her expertise, because I relied upon her as a friend, a colleague, and for all of her expertise in planning and so many food, jewelry, everything. And I continue to reflect upon what a loss it is for us personally and for the entire Metro West and the Commonwealth that she is gone. We are lucky that a woman of her talent, skills, and passion decided to concentrate her considerable energies on improving her communities here, right here in Metro West. Because we all know she probably could have gone anywhere in the state, in the country, and been a great success as well. But we all also know that Stephanie's heart was here in Framingham and here in Metro West and in Medway and Walpole and around Metro West. She absolutely loved her many, many friends and family, and she, as we all know, loved her work. She threw her heart and soul into it, and in turn, we all loved her. Shortly after Stephanie passed away, the Senate adjourned in her memory. I was able to read into the record, the official record, on the podium of the Senate, many of Stephanie's vast achievements, including her being recommended by Governor Michael Dukakis to work with my great predecessor and friend, Senator Dave Magnani. That's where I actually first met Stephanie at least 25 years ago, when she worked for Senator Dave Magnani. And she got to know all of us in her extended family. I got to see her many accomplishments in her planning and economic development roles across the state. It was really, I thought, very special. I don't know if anybody's here from Walpole, and you're a terrific community. I think it's great, but I was very pleased when she went to work for Medway, because Medway is also in my district, so I'm a little partial, I'm sorry. So I got a chance to work even more directly with her once again, and that was really special. but I want to read a particularly poignant section because it reflects so perfectly why Stephanie was so beloved. And this is from the resolution that I read on the Senate floor. In the days since her passing, many of Miss Mercandetti's friends and colleagues have used similar words to describe her. She was a light, a star, and she set the world on fire. She was revered for her kindness and her integrity. Although she was a committed Democratic town committee member, for example, even Republicans volunteered for her campaign. She was unique in her ability to bring people together, to animate lively discussions around planning and development, not always such a lively topic of conversation, and to effect positive change in the communities in which she worked. She was also a beloved daughter, sister, cousin, aunt, and friend, as well as an artist, runner, and advocate. In this political moment, may Miss Mercandetti's memory serve as a reminder to all of us that we are neighbors first and our political designations second. Let us remember that a laugh and a kind word go a long way towards bringing disparate parties closer together. In treating each other with dignity and respect, Ms. Mercandetti's work will continue throughout the Commonwealth. This is why preserving Stephanie's memory is so important, to remind us always, every single day, that kindness counts, and that we are all neighbors, fellow residents of the Commonwealth, and fellow citizens of a great nation. That we can believe strongly in our political and philosophical positions, but we can also treat each other with respect. It's a very worthy goal, and we may not live up to it every single day, but in dedicating this physical tribute to Stephanie right here in Cushing Park, we will have a concrete reminder of the ideals that she held so dear. So I'm honored and proud. I have a Senate citation and a proclamation from the governor so the resolution. I have a copy of the resolution that I read on the Senate floor, and I'm honored and proud to be with you today and to be able to celebrate this governor's proclamation announces today as Stephanie Mercandetti Day here in the Commonwealth. I'd like to give this to the family that are here. Can they come up? Can you come up? So thank you to the committee for dedicating this beautiful spot in Stephanie's memory. Thank you very much for being here.
Next, I would like to bring up Mayor Yvonne Spicer. Good afternoon. Did you feel the sun shine
that's warm.
just a moment ago? I don't know about you, but I believe that Stephanie is smiling on us right now. And it's interesting, I have my staff usually prepare remarks, but today my spirit is speaking to me. I didn't know Stephanie very well. So when I started running this campaign to become the mayor of Framingham, I met her briefly. But I remember her bright light, her smile,
and also having an opportunity to chat a little bit about her role on the planning board. Just the other day, somehow in the news feed, Stephanie popped up because it was her birthday.
Yes.
So I look at that and so many other things as those signs in life that let us know that in our grief, in our loss, there's hope, there's love, there's opportunity, there's presence. And Stephanie's presence is all around each and every one of you. All of us that loved her, that worked with her, that smiled, that cried, all of that came together. I want to acknowledge our governor, Dukakis, who I am very proud to say I worked hard on his campaigns whenever possible. Senate President Spilka, former Senator David Mignani, Jack Lewis, State Representative, Barbara St. Andre from the town of Medway, Joan Rossani from Parks and Rec, the Mercandetti family, Bob Berman, chair of the Mercandetti Memorial. It's hard to ever say no to Bob when he wants something and needs you to do something, because he's always dedicating himself to the best interest of Framingham. I want to thank the entire Mercandetti Memorial Committee. This day, on behalf of the residents of Framingham, a piece of us also stays with this bench and this memorial for Stephanie. There are other ways in which we can continue to celebrate Stephanie, and I know each and every one of us will find a way to do so. Her dedication and efforts has left an indelible impact on the city of Framingham. The many people who work with her to make our community a place to live, work, and grow. We are thankful for her commitment, and we are proud to have a piece of her wisdom to carry with us. As we honor her today at this dedication, let's remember her spirit, her legacy of collaboration and partnership. I challenge all of us to bring the best of ourselves to the places we call home, as did Stephanie. As an elected member of the Planning Board, I thank Stephanie for her years of service. I also thank all of the people that had a chance to work with Stephanie and remind me, as a new mayor, of her commitment to Framingham. Let our living not be in vain, and that we continue to grow Framingham in a way that makes good sense, to honor Stephanie's memory and her efforts to do the same. So today, I say welcome to my city of Framingham, but I also say today is one of those days where the light is shining on us to continue to do the right thing for the city of Framingham. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Spicer. Next, I would like to bring up an old friend of both mine and Stephanie's, representing the town of Medway, Barbara St. Andre.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you to all the members of the committee who put together this beautiful program on this beautiful day. It's been wonderful to come here. I see a lot of old familiar faces from the town of Framingham that I used to work with, and I know that Stephanie would love a beautiful day like this in this park. I'm really quite humbled to be asked to come here and represent the town of Medway at this event. I worked with Stephanie in both Framingham and in Medway, and I have to say that of all the people I've worked with, she was one who had more expertise, enthusiasm, passion, just did such a wonderful job. Some of you who work in the field of land use, economic development, you probably know that it's not the most funny work to be in. There's not a lot of humor in it. One of the things I loved about Stephanie was she always kept her sense of humor. She could always find something to smile about. It's not easy doing what she did. She had to, in both of her jobs, so she had twice this, she had to deal with elected officials, appointed officials, town residents, developers, applicants, engineers. All of these people, all of whom had their own point of view, and it was very difficult to keep them all happy. Stephanie did such a wonderful job. She was such a people person that she was able to relate to all of these people and do an excellent job, not only dealing with them, but also as far as the technical aspects of her job. I so enjoyed working with her in both Framingham, her work on the planning board, and in Medway with the economic development. As some of you know, I am now in what I call Stephanie's position in Medway. I've succeeded her as the Director of Economic Development there. But I think it will always be known as Stephanie's position. And the reason for that is because Stephanie did so much for the town of Medway in the time that she was there. I was not at all surprised when the town administrator, Michael Boynton, reached out to her at her job in Walpole, and however he did it, convinced her to come to Medway. In Medway, she single-handedly put together an economic development program, creating the Medway Redevelopment Authority, putting together the Oak Grove Urban Renewal Plan and having it approved by the state, putting together the Department of Community and Economic Development, which didn't even exist before she got there, which unifies all of the land use boards there. I feel like there's nothing left for me to do. She's done it all. So I appreciate that. And I have to say she was always looking for ways to improve her community, whether it was Medway, whether it was Walpole, whether it was Framingham. She was a hard worker, and she really knew what she was doing. And as I said, I really appreciated her wit and her enthusiasm for her job. In Framingham, where I worked with her with the planning board, I see Amanda Loomis standing up in the back, who was the planner. And one of the tasks that we had was putting together the updated Framingham zoning bylaw. Now, it's hard to think of a more thankless task than recodifying the zoning bylaw. But again, Stephanie just threw herself into it, went way beyond what was, required of her in order to see that through. Every 6 months we had to produce a new version, and she was very proud, I think, of the work that she did, and rightfully so. And I think she did an excellent job. The hardest part of that job was keeping all of them straight, so we had to come up with different colored covers and give them names, like salmon and avocado and so on, because it was too hard to keep track of them. So, I mean, that's the type of thing that Stephanie did. She was so good at her work that everybody benefited from it. I guess I would sum it up just by saying that, from my point of view, everything and everyone that Stephanie touched, she made better. There's no question. And I think that the greatest compliment I can pay to her is that she was a kind person. I think that's just the greatest thing to be. And I think we need more kind people in the world. So, Stephanie, we miss you, but we appreciate everything that you've done for us and for your legacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Next, I'd like to bring up State Representative Jack Lewis. And just a quick pre-story to this is, although Stephanie and I both worked for your opponent in your first election, we had many conversations about how incredibly happy we are to have you representing Framingham, and what a great job you've done. So, thank you.
Thank you for reminding me of that fact. I had almost forgotten about it. To Stephanie's family, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll admit, I didn't know Stephanie as well as you did and as well as so many folks here did. But I do know something that I tell my kids each and every day is that we're judged by the company we keep, we're judged by the friends we have. And as I look around, I know all of you. I know many of you very, very well. And I know Stephanie that much better because I know you. It's an honor to be here and to represent the Massachusetts House of Representatives. I also have a citation, and I'll admit, getting the citation put together was a little difficult because at first we thought, okay, she lived in Framingham, we'll get the Framingham reps. Well, she worked in this community, well, we better get that rep. And as we went around, we found that more and more people had worked with Stephanie or considered her a friend, so much so that it became a little complicated to fit everyone's name. And finally, I just said, it needs to be printed, it needs to go, we all love her. We all know that our lives are more than a list of accomplishments. Our lives are defined, hopefully, by the hearts we've touched, by the lives we've changed, and that's definitely the case for Stephanie. But I hope you can indulge me for a moment just to read parts of the resolution, because Stephanie did so much that I can even imagine she probably had a hard time keeping track of all of this if she were asked to put together a formal resume. So while you know her so well, we all know her in different ways. So indulge me for just this moment to read a little bit, just a little bit, of what she did for this community, surrounding communities, and the entire Commonwealth. Whereas, as Regional Municipal Coordinator of Norfolk County, Stephanie Mercandetti successfully advocated for member municipalities and oversaw their participation in various economic development projects, including the I-495 Corridor Initiative in the South Regional Target Area. And she secured grant funding from the United States Environmental Protection Agency for the Creation County Brownfields Assessment Program. And whereas Stephanie, as Chief of Policy and Operations for the Massachusetts Nonprofit Network, conducted policy research, maintained fiscal oversight and budget operations, personal procurement, and communication with members, partners, and external agencies. And whereas Stephanie, as the first Director of Community and Economic Development for the town of Walpole, developed and oversaw the execution of community development projects, research reviews of zoning proposals in conjunction with department boards and committees, and conceptualized development and redevelopment. Whereas Stephanie, as the first Director of Community and Economic Development in the town of Medway, assisted the operation of the Planning and Economic Development Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Conservation Commission, the Affordable Housing Committee and Trust, the Redevelopment Authority, and the Economic Development Committee, and enhanced the reputation of the town of Medway with state and regional agencies. And whereas Stephanie, as a longtime resident of Framingham, served as an active member of the Metro West Economic Research Center, the Metro West Healthcare Foundation, Impact Framingham, and as an elected member of the Framingham Democratic Town Committee. And whereas Stephanie, as a member and chair of the Framingham Planning Board, oversaw the comprehensive revision of Framingham's subdivision rules and regulations, review and approval of applications for site plan review, special permits, scenic road modifications, subdivision modifications, public way access permits, bicycle and pedestrian policies, which allowed Framingham to receive state funding for the implementation of bicycle paths. Be it hereby resolved that the Massachusetts House of Representatives hereby honors Stephanie Mercandetti on the occasion of the dedication of the Stephanie Mercandetti Bench and Tree here in the town of Framingham. As Barbara said it moments ago, working with elected officials is not an easy thing. We are complicated people, but Stephanie's life, as you see her accomplishments, meant that she worked with a diverse group of folks in multiple towns. She lived in that tension, she lived in that confusion, and at the end of the day, her list of accomplishments is longer than any of ours here today. And I will always be sad that I wasn't able to get to know her as well as so many of you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Representative Lewis. I thought long and hard about how to introduce the next speaker. And other than to think that my parents, who are sitting right behind him, must be incredibly proud at this moment, there's really nothing I need to say. Next speaker is Governor Mike Dukakis.
Thank you all very much. A real pleasure for Kitty and me to be here. You know, we're going to too many memorial services these days. And you can understand that. I'm going to be 85 in November. She's going to be 82. With all due respect to the rest of you, she's still the best looking Medicare recipient in the United States of America. But one understands as one gets older that you're going to have these. This hurts. This really hurts. As many of you know, I've had the great good fortune after my political career to be at Northeastern University. This is my 28th year at Northeastern. Now, it is true that Kitty and I drag ourselves out of New England in late December, and I teach at UCLA. It's a terrible burden, but somebody's got to do it. But I've loved my time at Northeastern. And there are many of you who come out of that world of education. Your Honor, congratulations to you. One of these days we're going to talk about a unified commuter rail system with our two major train stations connected. We've got to talk about that. And I've just loved the opportunity at a very unique school to get to know and teach hundreds and hundreds of young people who are a constant inspiration to me. Thank God for the federal system. I mean, I won't comment on what's been going on in Washington. But we have 50 state governments and hundreds, thousands of local governments in which good people, many of the kinds of folks that are here today, work their heads off to make their communities better. And I don't remember this. I think my memory's okay, but 85 is 85. Dave Magnani tells me that I brought Stephanie personally to his office in the State House and said, she's fabulous. She was in the co-op program. You got to put her to work. There was a spirit about her. I talk to my students these days, you know, what does it take to get into public service? And what do you need? What qualities do you need? First thing, obviously, is integrity. Absolute integrity. And the second one, folks, is passion. Passion for working with your fellow citizens to make your community and state and country better. And one of the things we all discover, at least I'd like to think we discover this, is that there is great joy and satisfaction in doing this. Especially when you see somebody like Karen become the Senate president. Let me tell you, folks, when I first entered the Massachusetts legislature, there were very few women in the legislature, and the notion that one of them might become the Senate president was inconceivable. Because it was inconceivable that a Greek could become governor. Seriously. And an African American become the mayor of a major community. So even if this daily gong show that we're experiencing in the nation's capital continues for a while, I think we ought to take a lot of satisfaction in the fact that we have made enormous progress. We really have. And it's reflected here. But this kid was something. She just had an instinct for this stuff and loved it and did it so well. I don't know, Jack said that we're difficult. I think those of us in elective office are pretty good. I hope people like us, otherwise they wouldn't elect us in the first place. But it is such a joy, as all of us know, to be in a position where you just aren't sitting on the sidelines complaining about things. You're doing stuff and making progress and making our communities and our country and the world a better place. And that was Stephanie. That was Stephanie. Not only that, her name was Mercandetti. Not Greek, but close. And I don't want to go on at great length, but let me just say this. I just finished a book on the history of the city of Lawrence, the immigrant city. And there was an extensive discussion of an organization called the Immigration Restriction Committee, headed up by a fellow named Henry Cabot Lodge, the old Henry Cabot Lodge, who killed our chances to join the League of Nations. And I don't know what it is, it's a great country, but there's always some group out there that somebody doesn't like. And the folks who were disparaged and criticized and insulted back in the early part of the 20th century were Southern Europeans, especially Italians. Sacco and Vanzetti went to the chair, folks, not because they committed a crime, it was because they were Italians. And there are a lot of you here of Italian descent, a lot of you from southern Italy, which means that you have Greek blood flowing through your veins, because we settled it. But I hope you're all as proud as I am of what one wave of immigration after another, notwithstanding what some of these folks are saying these days, especially the guy in the White House. I hope you're all as proud as I am of what we've all collectively been able to do together, and how a remarkable young Italian-American woman made the contributions that she made to this community and the communities around here. She was something. She was a joy. I mean, you couldn't help but feel great about what you were doing and what was going on in her presence. And I hope she'll continue to be, and this memorial obviously is an important part of this, continue to be an inspiration. Tell your kids and grandkids about her. Tell them what she did. Tell them how she so deeply involved herself and what a leader she was. Because that's the kind of thing our kids need. And let me say this in closing, notwithstanding what's going on nationally. In a funny kind of way, this strange guy in the White House is inspiring thousands and thousands of young people to get into politics. And these kids are going to be running for office. They're going to be serving in important positions. I have the great good joy of, the great satisfaction of spending every day with them. And let me tell you, notwithstanding our current struggles, I think the nation is in pretty good hands. And it's because of young people like Stephanie and others now coming along who really make a huge difference. So thank you all so much. Dave in particular, thank you for arranging for Kid and me to be here. Dave and I wanted this to be a great hospital for older people. And we had it all set. We got the money, got the appropriation. Then what happened? Well, another guy came along, good friend, but didn't share our enthusiasm. But I'm also a great fan of parks, and you should be proud of this place and proud of this room. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Governor Dukakis. Next person I'd like to bring up to speak is really, he was really the spearhead to this whole thing getting started. Very, very, very close friend and former boss of Stephanie, Senator David Magnani.
Thank you, Bob. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you very much, Governor, for those remarks. First of all, let me thank you all for coming. Stephanie would be stunned to see you all here. If she was the only one who didn't know how absolutely beloved she was. I'm humbled and honored to be asked to share a few thoughts about Stephanie Mercandetti, a truly extraordinary woman whom I'm privileged to have called my friend. In her far too brief life of 42 years, remember JFK passed away at 44, she packed a whole lot of living and a whole lot of loving for everyone she met. She filled many roles, and each one with superb skill, grace, commitment, and good humor. A consummate professional, yes, and also a daughter and an aunt and a sister and a niece. She absolutely loved her family. With them and with all the things she loved, love was an action, not just a feeling. Many times she spoke about how she appreciated the opportunity to get back to New York for those family celebrations. And to know her was to love her. In fact, her college friend Hanafi flew 23 hours from Kuwait to see her for 1 hour before she passed away, and then flew back the same day. And for all with whom she worked, in her paid and many volunteers and elected roles, Stephanie was a true professional. I do remember Mike Dukakis in my Senate office one day introducing a young co-op student named Stephanie. He said, "Dave, I only bring you my best students, and she's the best of the best." All of those in the State House and in our district office, I see Dave McCauley here, he remembers it, found out that the governor had actually underestimated her. I can personally attest that she was also one of the best assets that a political campaign ever saw. Her smile alone got me more votes than I needed, and certainly more than I could get myself. And Mary Jo, who's here, can attest to her amazing energy and commitment and warmth and professionalism while staffing my district office. I'll never forget the nights that Stephanie and I discussed her running for planning board. I, like so many others, wanted her to run for state representative. She demurred, but agreed on a planning board candidacy and of course topped the ticket and soon became chair. She served Framingham remarkably in that role, level-headed, detail-oriented, and fair, with the kind of disposition that would make developers sing her praises regardless of the board's decision. As a member of the Framingham Democratic Town Committee, she put her strong, informed, progressive political beliefs into action. Norma can tell you that when she needed help for one of her 100 political campaigns, Stephanie would answer the call with that same iridescent grin that captured all of our hearts and those of undecided voters as well. One of Steph's closest friends and her surrogate aunt and caregiver, who came and watched over her daily during her dastardly illness, was Mary Jo Lafreniere, who described Stephanie as a quiet, mostly unassuming person who left her mark on everyone she touched. She notes that Stephanie loved people and had a special quality that allowed everyone to be themselves. You felt so comfortable in her presence. An excellent student, Stephanie loved learning, but work itself gave Steph a special, well-deserved sense of accomplishment. She was a woman of fierce loyalty and courage, and she remained a Yankee fan in spite of all of these years in Massachusetts. In fact, a small sign above her computer says, "Yankee fan, behind enemy lines." When you were with Stephanie, she was with just you, especially when having a dispirited discussion or just quietly walking the flats of Cape Cod or the beaches of Maine. Stephanie always wanted to be doing something. Jewelry making, at which she was quite accomplished. Working out, dinner with friends, day trips or weekends all over New England, ever ready to go. And her friends were very diverse. They were fiercely loyal and numerous, be they from college or political work or Fitbit. She always looked forward to going home to her visits with her mother, Rosanna, and for the holidays or just to visit. Her trips to Arizona to see her sister Jackie and family were special. She loved it when her family came to visit. She got to show them around Massachusetts, of which she was quite proud. She especially enjoyed time spent with the newest love of her life, her nephew Henry. She spoke often about his latest exploits, so showed us the newest picture of him from Jackie. Stephanie Mercandetti was a stoic, competent, kind, private, artistic, generous, committed, loving person who left everyone she met better for having known her. May God keep you close, Stephanie. We all love you, and we always will.
Thank you very much, David. Beautiful. Really amazing job by all the speakers today. This has just been, I mean, if you could stand here and look at this group, it's really moving and really emotional and really beautiful. And the sun is out and the trees are looking great, and you can hear the kids across the way in the playground. I just cannot think of a place that Stephanie would have loved more than this moment right here. So thank you again, everybody. Our next speaker is Joan Rustani, Park and Rec Commissioner, and we will do the official unveiling of the plaques.
Thank you all for joining us here today to honor Stephanie. I'm Joan Rustani, one of 5 members of the Park and Recreation Board of Commissioners. Louder. And also a member of the Stephanie Mercandetti Memorial Committee. When this group first assembled, we discussed many ways to honor her. We were told that Cushing Park was one of her favorite places to walk, run, and to watch the sun go down. Among the things we agreed on was to work in conjunction with all the folks at Parks and Rec. They were patient with us, counseled us wisely, and we would especially like to acknowledge the efforts of Jim Schneider, Trish Powell, and Chris McGinty. We encourage each of you to stop by the following memorials. First, we have Stephanie's bench. We decided to include a bench for her with the following inscription on the plaque which was placed on the bench. It says, "In loving memory of Stephanie Mercandetti, a woman of grace, character, and a loving heart." The bench faces the setting sun and is located near where she frequently watched the sunset. We originally planned to have a new tree planted near the site where her bench is located. Chris McGinty pointed out to us that there was already a beautiful young maple tree in that area, which we could adopt for Stephanie. This tree is 14 years old now. She's just a teenager. And during the spring, its buds develop into the lovely green leaves that you can see now. In the autumn, its leaves will turn to a beautiful shade of red. The rock near the tree has a plaque, and that plaque reads, "In loving memory of Stephanie A. Mercandetti." We hope that those of you in the area will be able to stop by occasionally and remember. Thank you.
Fantastic. While we have you up, I'd like to bring up any members of Stephanie's family that would like to say a few words.
Hi. Stephanie would laugh because this is my speech. She would laugh, but a gentle, kindly laugh. She knows how nervous she knows how nervous I would be right now. I'm really honored that this was put together for my sister. The bench and the tree is really lovely, and I'm really honored everyone here to share this moment with us. A lot of the speakers said a lot of the things that I wanted to say, but Framingham, she loved Massachusetts, and she traveled all over, but she loved Massachusetts, and I know she wanted to stay in Framingham and the surrounding area. This was her home. Her work was very important to her, and she could have moved many places, and she wanted to live in this area because she wanted to be a part of it. If she was going to represent the Metro West, she was going to stay here and be a part of the community and live here, know how the area worked. She was passionate about her work, and she was adamant about equality. She was a stickler for the truth, my sister. She was loving and non-judgmental when she believed in something, and she really stuck with it. I spoke to her many times after planning board. Steph, you work so late. And I've sat through a couple of planning board meetings. And
we're sorry.
And I'm like, I'd text her, can we go now? But she was stubborn when she pursued something, and she wanted to make sure it was her, she accomplished what she wanted to accomplish, and people understood. When I lacked foresight, I always counted on her to have insight. She cared, and she always listened, and she was very supportive. And she was a great shopper. That's true. I remember one of the first times I moved here, Filene's basement. We went there. Every time, actually, I visited, she always took me to Filene's basement. And she was very patient, and she loved to shop, and she would sift through these bins of clothing, and she would just pull out the most fabulous things. Cushing Park is a wonderful place for the tree and the bench, and I know she did really enjoy it. I've been here many times with her. She enjoyed snowshoeing, running. This park was her favorite. A hospital would have been a nice thing, but I think beautiful open space, people all around, paths I'm glad it stayed this way or turned into this park. People need a place to go, to contemplate, to walk with their friends, create moments. So I just, again, want to thank the members of Stephanie Mercandetti's committee and Parks and Rec for making this happen. And I think in her honor, the scholarship fund that is set up, she would really love that and approve of that. I don't think that she would want the attention, but this is something that she would really be proud of as well. Something to support and benefit, recognize in other individuals her passion and commitment to public service. That would make her really proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've done a pretty good job of keeping the tears back, and I'm starting to lose the battle. But thank you, everybody. I just have a few last announcements to make. Number one, we've spoken multiple times about the scholarship that we are starting. Our hope is that this is an ongoing scholarship that is going to last for many years. And to do that, this is where we need your help. We have a GoFundMe set up. The address for the GoFundMe site is in your program. You'll also find it if you just Google Stephanie Mercandetti. It will come up. We have a table set up here, and we'll also have a table set up at Keefe. We would love to take any donations. The bigger, the better, and we will not be shy about asking. So thank you in advance for helping us with that. Thank you again, everybody, from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the entire committee. Thank you very much for being here, and we all look forward to coming here on a regular basis, seeing these beautiful memorials, and thinking of this wonderful day. So thank you very much.